What is this vulnerability? It's an RCE in Windows, found in Internet Explorer, usually used in phishing, used by Office documents. It employs ActiveX, the framework on which the Internet Explorer is based, and it has an 8.8 score. Is it really important? The patch was in about a month. It was issued. Pretty much everyone heard about phishing, and they're all trained, of course. But the users are usually ignoring Windows updates. I'm pretty sure this hall has people who have not installed the updates. And Microsoft Patch is a very narrow thing. It closes just one of the ways of the exploit usage, but not the whole vulnerability. The vulnerability was exploited even after it was packed into an RAR archive. So mail is still the predominant factor of malware. And Positive Technology statistics shows that 55% of distribution is email, which is important. Good numbers, right? We had an example with phishing being run by one customer, saying that everything is protected, all the users are trained, and here's how the file looked. It was archived, and it said instruction.pdf.exe, and we substituted the sender, and we had a very, very strange text. But pretty much everyone has launched the file. And I had my own research on the vulnerabilities with the question of what do you need for the vulnerability to exist? Just 21st of September update not to be installed and ActiveX to be activated. It's roughly 30%. By the show of hands, who knows whether your infrastructure has ActiveX allowed, enabled or not? Who is sure that 80 or 90% of your PCs have the latest updates? One hand? Two hands? So here's an example of the letter. Two docs. Not very strange. Two of them have the image. Both of them have an image, but it's not an ordinary image. It's rendered through ActiveX and is our trigger. Let's look at the attack chain. It's quite simple. The user receives an email, opens it. There's a call to an external server. The file is being downloaded, and then it's run in a DLL. The patches for this vulnerability have been issued on the 21st of September, but Asian high-level officials were attacked in about a month. It differs. This one looks the same, but it's a little bit different. So here is the structure. There was an XLS file with an XML file. It uses custom UI unload to upload another file from an external server, and this XLS file has our vulnerability running. This way allows us to avoid some AVs, some scanning systems without detection. Here's the DLL file structure. And this vulnerability is used as an downloader for the other encryptors, infostealers, and other. But how do you protect the users against it. So first of all is, of course, updating your software, even though currently it's not very simple thing to do, but this is a basic thing, and this needs to be done. Turning ActiveX off. It's easy to do. You need to apply a group policy or edit the registry. Use the protection methods for the mail and mail attachments. You can use sandboxes. They are not new, they exist. You should also prohibit Office applications from creating the child processes, which is something that protects from a whole family of such things. Phishing training and using SIEM systems. Pretty much every big business has CM, but not many companies run the phishing training exercises. You might ask, why do we need to run them if they don't work? Well, let me explain. Imagine we have 20 users opening our documents, but without the exercise, that would be 100, 200 of them. So phishing training does not stop the openings, but it reduces the amount of openings. And, among 20 users, maybe all 20 will be just ordinary users, and the other 80 might have admins, Traffic control, whitelists, proxies, things that will, prohibit the server from calling this CNC. So why do you do this report, you might ask, about this vulnerability? Only in April, we had 2 vulnerabilities, 2 exploits, public exploits on this, for phishing. And you need to remember that 50% of malware is spread using email. So we need to drop this percentage. We need to somehow remove the possibility for the actors to get into the company. And this might be a way of protection, changing the software that, and updating the software to close the vulnerability might actually protect you from other types of attacks and vulnerabilities. With that, I'm pretty much through. Here is a QR code for all the links and the documents that might help. Thank you. Are there any questions? Please, turn the QR code back. Thanks for the presentation. You had a slide with SIEM mentioned. So, would you elaborate on this? Well, how does the exploit work with this attack? If you see the exploit calling an external server and downloading an external file, the person responsible for CM would ask, why do they download this app file from an external server? If you heard about them, you know that they are not very frequent type of files to download. You have some events and triggers in the CM system that you can choose the signatures and triggers that will help you actually avoid those events. Thank you. And one more question. Regarding the statistics, 55% is spread using email. But we have a lot of vectors for attacks. So if the admins and security people have forgot to do their homework to, do the updates, but can we gather the statistics for the companies where the updates are there, the antivirus are there, and the group policy is applied to stop opening all the exe files and stuff like this? So what will then be the success rate for such attacks? I can answer this question right now. Let's see how this vulnerability works. First of all, if we have a file being sent through email, it will be, of course, cut through via the sandbox, but there are ways to avoid them. And you can also stop the office from creating the child processes, so this will reduce that percentage even more. Traffic control, updates. Yeah, the patch is very narrow. At least it will protect you from some of the vulnerabilities. So executing exact files and scripts from attachments is extremely bad. It should be prohibited by the group policy. Yeah, but I think it will kill like 50 or 60% of that attack. They don't pay enough attention to such things, right? Yes. Just choose a folder to run the executables. Wherever the office has put this file, you just cannot run this. Well, regarding the homework, you are correct. The statistics is still right. Everyone would forget about phishing if everyone would be doing those basic steps. But the main way of going into the enterprise is phishing. It's not like zero-day exchange vulnerabilities monitoring. Phishing is still super easy, and social engineering is alive. Thus, everyone understands it. And regardless of the amount of training you give, it cannot be killed, but you can reduce its effect, right? Yes. Doesn't a stage help to stress the employees against phishing? There's a number of tools: anti-phishing, software solutions. Positive has their own sandbox, and so on. Okay, but the main vector is still people. If we don't train people, we will not succeed. If the admin has done all his homework with all the group policies and updates and CM, the people are still there. And if it is a governmental enterprise, then at least you can limit them to doing this or that. But you need to work with people. There are services available. You just need to wish. You need to have the desire. Well, I think it's super important for the top officials to be willing to do so. To train their people. Doesn't a stage do the same? Phishing, I don't know. How do we call this? You just keep training your own people about this. And I also monitored the statistics. They did not do anything decent in this area. Thank you indeed. Any questions? To the mic, please. Your attitude, your opinion on the vendor updates after the 24th of February. You would like my personal opinion? I think this topic is overinflated. There was a topic on a malware in the open source, and I'd like to tell you that open source was, people were named malware actors, even if they were just including some some lines in their code. Maybe it's applicable for big businesses and for critical infrastructure, but for ordinary business, will the enterprise companies add something terrible to their software? Maybe for some things, only Russia specific, but being in Windows, being Microsoft. Will it go that way? I don't know. Do they issue updates still? Yeah, so far. But that's an open question. No, I haven't seen anything, regarding the updates being turned off. But that's a question of taking risks and trusting the vendor. The question was not asked to the microphone, but the comment. But the person has declined the option to say it to the mic. It is a question of taking risks in the organization. If you take AV solutions, what is guaranteeing you that tomorrow after an update it does not start blocking files, doing wrong things? You just create a test environment, you accept the risks for all the security systems, and then you test, and then you look at with some time gap, how long does my AV work? If it works fine with your test group, then you spread it all over the organization. Yeah, you're right. There's the solution. Test it before you deploy it. You either take those risks or don't. You can turn off your AV and look at, take the other type of risks. Or you can migrate to Astra Linux. Will there be updates or not? We never know. If there are no questions from the audience anymore, thank you very much.